Okay, good evening, everyone, and welcome to our regular planning council meeting. It's July the 29th, 2024. Remind you that this meeting is being streamed live and recorded for public viewing on the town's YouTube page. We acknowledge that this land on which we are gathered today is part of the ancestral land of the Chippewa, Ottawa, and Potawatomi peoples, referred to collectively as the Anishinaabe. It is through the connection of the Anishinaabe that with the spirit of the land, water, and air that we recognize their unique cultures, traditions, and values. Together, as treaty people, we have a shared responsibility to act with respect for the environment that sustains all of life, protecting the future for those generations to come. Council, I remind you, if you have a pecuniary interest, to declare it at the appropriate time. Deputy Clerk, do we have any delegations this evening for this meeting?
No delegations tonight.
Okay, thank you. Is there any business arising from the previous meetings?
There's no business arising tonight.
Okay, Council will go to item 6.1. We have a motion by Councillor Bojan, seconded by Councillor Vasey. With a report by Maria Casarasi, Senior Planner, dated July 22nd, 2024, regarding an extension request for the draft plan of subdivision known as 38T-20001 Key Homes Trails Edge, be received and endorsed by council, and that staff be directed to advise the County of Plympton there are no concerns with granting the professional group incorporated a one-year extension of draft plan approval for the plan of subdivision. Councilor Rossi is here. Mr. Rossi, Councilor Rossi, is there anything further to add to your report?
No, Your Worship. Thank you.
Okay. Councilor, any questions? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor? Carried.
Five years.
Sorry?
5-year extension.
I don't think that's what it was for. It was for 1 year.
I don't know what it's for. I see it's 1 year, but 1 year, it took you guys 5 years to get a development agreement. You're giving me 1 year. I need 5 years.
Well, the report said it was for a 1 year extension, Mr. Bain.
Well, I didn't see the report.
Do you not get a copy of it?
So
I do believe it's common practice for the county of Lambton to only extend them for 1 year at a time.
see you next year then.
Okay.
It's just a lot of hassle. No, I don't know why you wouldn't go 5 years. I don't get the idea here.
Councilor Rossi?
Thank you, Your Worship. It was my understanding from the agent for the owner that there were just some servicing issues, that there were some delays with some of the utilities in terms of a response in order to meet the draft conditions. And then there is still a holding symbol on that portion of the property. Holding symbol was previously removed for the 6 lots, but for the one property, subject property that we're talking about currently for this draft plan, the holding symbol is still on it. So those things need to be addressed prior to final approval.
And when does the holding issue come up?
So once your agent is ready to move forward with removing the holding symbol, once you've met the draft conditions. Right now, I believe that the subdivision agreement has been signed, correct?
Yes, and I paid the 400,000 or whatever it is.
The registration? Yes, so certainly we can discuss with Jordan whenever you're ready to move forward to remove the holding symbol. So once the subdivision agreement is signed and registered, then we can move forward with that removal.
Yeah, I think there was one outstanding issue, the Bell
Yes.
easement, which we've been after them for a year. And they've held me up. It cost me $250 to get this extension.
Yeah, so through your worship again, the importance of doing the extension now is because once you reach the expiry date, if all the draft conditions aren't met, you have to start the whole process again. So with the extension of the 1 year, it was our understanding from your agent that hopefully this issue with Bell would be resolved soon. But we need to capture the approval for the extension prior to August the 10th. So it was getting too close we would hate to see you start over again because it's a lengthy process.
The only problem I got, the municipality imposed about $1.2 million of cost. And threw my financing into a tailspin. So I have no financing for the project at the moment. I'm working on it, but where am I supposed to get that kind of money? Project, the economy is not good. I developed 41 lots. They're only selling 17 lots in that whole Kamlaki area a year. So I need a lot more time than a year.
So through your worship, again, the extension is only for the 1 year. But certainly if you feel that you're getting close to the expiry date, certainly reach out to the county 60 days before for another extension request, but it is only for the 1 year.
And the holding pattern would go once we're ready to go type of thing.
Well, speak to your consultant. Certainly if the subdivision agreement is signed and registered, which you've expressed it is, then you certainly are welcome to submit an application to have that holding symbol removed.
To planning, I gotta do an application here. Okay, all right, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Counselor Massey.
Thank you.
See you, Doug.
Thanks for the licorice.
Sweeten you.
Yeah, let's go to item 7.1. Deputy Clerk, anything under that one? Okay, let's go to correspondence. Item 8.1, I have a motion by Councillor Van Claveren, seconded by Deputy Mayor McEwen. Correspondence recommends the following motion. The correspondence from MCCALLUM Build and Renovate Incorporated be received and the required fees in the form of a letter of credit for the site plan agreement SP 02-2024 be reduced to $10,000 of the cost of the work for this one-time special reduction. Are there any questions on Mr. McCallum's letter? Mr. Sabansky?
Just like to add to the letter that this has been council's practice before when local business owners have requested a reduction. Our standards are the 20%. However, given the minimum risk to the town as a whole, as the majority of the construction is occurring on private property, previous councils have gone with a flat fee for the security above the percentage and letter of credit.
Councillor Vacy?
Yes, so right now, like the 125,000, we reduce it to 10. And there's a problem with the property down the road, we can still assess that to that property to get our money if we're short, correct?
It would be addressed through building code. So you go through the court and orders would be laid, et cetera. But there is mechanisms through building code to address partially constructed buildings. Any work within the road allowance would still have to be 100%. That is our policy, and that's not something that staff are comfortable reducing due to the high risk nature. But on-site property, there is less risk due to the fact that it is private property. And if something were to go wrong, the town's only expense would be to erect the fence around the property and make sure that there is no threat to off-site properties from the construction.
That answer your question, Councillor Vacy?
Yeah, I'm okay with it.
Councillor Rodriguez?
Okay. So I'm obviously there's $125,000 deposit that would be refundable based on whatever I understand all that stuff, but we want to reduce it to 10, or the ask is to reduce it to 10. Is there not a different mechanism for small business versus medium versus large? But to put everybody in the same category causes obviously are prohibitive to small business. And I know different small business that have struggled too because of red tape, because they get put in this one big pile. Do we not have, or is there a mechanism or a possibility? I don't know.
So site plan control does not change no matter the size of the business. It's the security that can change. So the previously endorsed policy does require 20% of the on-site works and 100% of off-site works. However, as you see here today, that there is a mechanism to come to council to request a reduced security to accommodate those works if the local property owner deems financially reasonable to do so, and council agrees.
So that's how you choose to do that process instead of just having it already set in policy.
Right now, council's site plan control policy is very flexible and minimal. If you were to want to establish a tiered site plan control system, it would definitely no longer be flexible. You would have to be very rigid in what those targets would be, and you'd have to establish some form of how to acknowledge what constitutes a small, medium, large business. And it could get quite a bit more complicated. And to determine what that stipulates, you probably end up asking for financial information, et cetera, et cetera. And I thought previous council felt leaving the flexibility in council's hands was the better way to go. That way they can decide if the security can be reduced, as has been done with previous local properties.
So in saying that, I suppose you've done all that back, gentlemen, to determine that this is a reasonable solution for him.
Yes, ma'am, planning and I had discussed this prior to Mr. McCallum submitting the letter.
Thank you.
Councilor Wilvet?
Yeah, this is something that we have done in the past, and I know that for sure. And I won't mention any names or businesses, but since this is a small business, I think it's just, in my opinion, a common sense decision here that we're trying to invite businesses to come into this community. And I think this is a reasonable request. I do believe we should grant it.
Any further questions, comments? Yes, Mr. Szymanski.
And just for our new councilors, because they weren't around during the original debate, site plan control was taken out of council's hand by the provincial government a little over 3 years ago. They required council to designate an approval authority. That approval authority for the town is myself as the CAO. Council at the time did put that policy in place for the 20% down for internal works based on that approval policy to make sure that there's adequate securities. But again, given that the property owner and staff felt that a reduced LC is appropriate in this situation, it's why we're asking permission of council tonight, and the property owner wrote the letter.
Any further? Mr. McCallum, anything from you?
Sounds pretty good to me so
Council?
Maybe I have one question. Mr. McCallum, when were you hoping to start building and hoping to get it done, maybe?
The whole thing will probably take me a couple of years. The building, main structure, hopefully up before Christmas.
Okay.
They're just waiting for me to give them the go ahead. The site plans signed. Permits are in place.
Excellent. Thank you.
Okay, council call for the vote. All those in favor? Carried.
Thank
Good luck.
For the liquor.
You're sweetening everybody. Seems to be.
Okay, council, let's go to 8.2. I have a motion by Councilor Wilvet, seconded by Councilor Van Claveren, that the correspondence recommends the following motion: that the correspondence from Catherine Tyree be received and the council grant the request to allow a CCAN to be placed on the laneway at 371 Broadway Street for a maximum period of 6 months, January the 29th, 2025. I think that should be 731 instead of 371. I was stumbling over that because I was trying to think of where that place is. So clerk, just for your information, it's 731.
The address?
The address, yeah. Any questions on that? Councilor Rodriguez.
Thank you. And I've never seen something like this from before us, but so isn't this just something that should be going through administration? Like, I'm not just understanding why it's coming to council for permission.
Yes.
I'm actually asked planning to answer that because it directly relates to our zoning bylaw.
Sure, so through your worship, so our zoning bylaw currently has many provisions regarding CCAN specifically. It was communicated through various departments that the standard practice was to come to council for property owners to request permission until our zoning bylaw is updated to hopefully have provisions regarding CCAN specifically. So that's kind of how we've been moving forward until we get some policies in place.
Because a lot of people would use them type of, or,
There are quite a few
Flooding.
inquiries.
yes.
Ms. Burke, and to clarify, the zoning bylaw actually prohibits them in the residential and commercial zones, correct?
Correct.
So,
It's telling me yes.
yes, I think so. Deputy Mayor?
Yeah, I just like to say I admire this person for actually asking. Because usually they're just plunked everywhere there where somebody wants them. So
Rodriguez, you had your hand.
Well, I'm one of them. I didn't know. So that's why I'm asking. I mean, I had a flood in my home. From a broken drainage and it went through insurance, and insurance was the one who oversaw everything. So I would have never known.
Okay, anything further? Okay, all those in favor? Okay, Catherine, you can go ahead now. You're watching. Okay, council, let's go to item number 9.1. Correspondence recommended reading and routine approval. Motion by Deputy Mayor McEwen, seconded by Councillor Van Claveren. Correspondence items A to C relating to recommended reading and routine approval and information items not otherwise addressed by resolution be noted as received by the Plympton-Wyoming Council, filed accordingly. That would be our Committee of Adjustment notice and decisions, as well as in a Skilling Township severance decision. We have several members from the Committee of Adjustment here if there are any questions. Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor? Carried. Okay, new business, planning related. Councillor Wolbeck,
Nothing tonight, sir.
Councillor Bojan,
Nothing planning related, thank you.
Councillor Van Claveren,
Nothing for me, sir. Thank you.
Councillor Vacy,
Nothing at this.
Deputy Mayor.
yes, was quite an odor around Kamlaki a couple of days ago. Or maybe a little longer, whenever the wind was in the right direction. And of course, most people were complaining about the chicken barn, which the odor was not coming from. It was coming from the company that was spreading waste on the field that he had a contract for. And I presume it came from a lagoon or one of those businesses that works in human waste. So I corrected the people that called me about it and saved a lot of phone calls to the office. How's that?
Thank you, Deputy Mayor.
You're welcome. Then I had another call from a fella about the Egremont Estates. You know, that's the one across from Sawmill Creek
On the
on the triangle, yes. That nothing's been happening there for I don't know how long. And he never mentioned the weeds, but I'm mentioning the weeds. They're my shoulder length, shoulder height. It's awful. But he's questioning the no action on that subdivision. He's bought a lot there and he's looking to build and he can't build.
So legally, I don't think they'd be able to buy a lot there because we haven't provided our certificate yet. So that is something they'd want to consider.
Yes,
Secondly, the subdivision is not currently moving forward, not necessarily due to anything that the town has control over. I understand that there's private issues between the consultants, contractor and the property owner, which we are not privy to. And those issues have not been resolved at this time.
okay, I might have misunderstood him. Maybe he didn't say has bought, maybe he meant was proposing to buy. I'm not sure now that you mention it, but this subdivision has been sitting there, so I don't know how long, you know, like it's out of agricultural production to begin with for how many years. Plus, we're waiting for houses to be built there to meet our little quota that the province thinks we should do. So can you just nudge them along or something? What can you do?
The only real power the town would have in this situation would be to withdraw on the LC to finish the work. But I don't know if we'd want to necessarily do that unless that was council's direction.
Okay.
We can certainly ask for updates on the matter. And then if council has any thoughts after that, we provide a update on where they're sitting at, we can go from there.
Okay. Well, it wouldn't hurt for us to know where they're sitting, okay? At least pass it on to this concerned proposed resident.
You know, Stephanie,
Said, thank you.
Councilor Rodriguez, thank you.
No, thank you.
Okay, I have nothing new under new business for planning. At this time, we're going to have a motion for 11.1. Moved by Councilor Van Claveren, seconded by Councilor Levitt. The council move into an in-camera meeting of council pursuant to section 239 of the Municipal Act 2001 is amended for the following reasons. Item A and B, litigation matters, section 239 bracket 2 bracket E. Litigation or potential litigation, including matters before administrative tribunals affecting the municipality or the local board. All those in favor? Carried. For those of you that are joining with us virtually, we'll be going in camera now, and we will be returning at 5 to 6 for our public meeting. Thank you very much for your attendance so far this evening.